What's going on, everybody? It's Franz. We're here for a Smackdown live review for tonight's Smackdown on March 19th, 2019. And WWE presented us with the biggest question: will Kofi Kingston run the gauntlet and make it to WrestleMania? He did, but he didn't. And it really just made the whole thing unbelievable. WWE just doesn't. Vince McMahon just wants to insult our intelligence and try and make everything seem so unbelievably that it shouldn't happen. Kofi should have been nowhere close to beating this gauntlet last night. I said, and I picked it really last week in on Unscripted, that Kofi should go through the Bar and Rowan, but should not be going through Samoa Joe and Randy Orton. Let's just say that's exactly what happened, and then Vince McMahon went, well, you won the gauntlet, but you're not done yet because you have to face Daniel Bryan, and in the end, Daniel Bryan won. So Kofi Kingston still is not going to WrestleMania as of yet. And I kind of figured he would not be going to WrestleMania just yet. They're going to stretch this out as long as they can. And we have 2 more SmackDowns to go. It would not surprise me between now and the go-home show, Kofi Kingston will be facing Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. But last night, he was not going to do that. Now, also on the show, we had The Miz open the show with a promo on Shane McMahon, which was probably one of his best promos as a babyface. I still don't buy Miz as a babyface. This is the second attempt at Miz as babyface, as we know. And I don't think they're doing it's a good job at all. And then right after that was done, we had the Boston Hug Connection taking on the Iconics in WWE again, making their champions look stupid and having their champions again lose a match. I still don't get what WWE's big deal is with this, but every time you win a championship, whether you're a babyface or a heel, you lose. You lose every single singles match just to be able to make a number 1 contenders. As we know on Monday Night Raw, the Divas of Doom challenged the Boston Hug Connection to WrestleMania. Looks like it's going to be the Rumored Fatal 4, but we're not going to get a team from NXT. We're going to get the Divas of Doom versus the Samoan Sporthouse versus the Iconics and the Boston Hug Connection. I don't care who's in the match. That match needs to end one way and one way only, with Boston Hug Connection winning and moving on to NXT Takeover in San Jose to take on the Sky Pirates in a tag team title match. If the titles are going to be used at an NXT event, a Takeover event, they have to be on Bayley and Sasha Banks. It's the only one that makes sense. Tonight's show was a good first half of the show, and then the second half with the whole entire gauntlet match just ruined the entire show. And I'm just gonna say this again. We had the KO show. The Kevin Owens show was on the night show. Kevin Owens back, of course. So he was with with Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair before their match at WrestleMania. We do not, for the next 2 weeks, need to see Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, or Ronda Rousey. This match is set in stone. You have the hype. You cannot hype it up enough anymore. There is nothing left to hype up about this match. So why these guys are going out there and having a match is beyond me. This time needs to be used for others. And when I mean others, I mean matches that have not been set for WrestleMania. We did get a match for WrestleMania, as we will have Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio for the United States Championship in a one-on-one match. And honestly, it's kind of not the U.S. Championship match I think any of us wanted. We wanted to see Andrade Cien versus Rey Mysterio at WrestleMania. Kind of disappointed that those two are not going to be facing off one-on-one at WrestleMania. The feud kind of built towards that. We do have 2 weeks still, so anything can happen. But again, kind of disappointed in that one in the end. Now, The Miz started the show off. He talked about how he's been focused on the road to WrestleMania for years. He goes on about sacrificing for this business, that what business means to him, that what his friendships with Shane meant to him. He goes on about wanting to make his father proud, and the fact that he's sacrificed every single relationship outside of his wife and his daughter to get to WrestleMania. He says people warned him before he teamed up with Shane. Miz talked about how Shane decimated him in front of his own father. He says people warned him about teaming up with Shane. That's something they never showed on SmackDown at all, and I think that's something that would have added a wrinkle to this that would have made it a little bit more like, nah, man, nah, I'm good. Shane's good. We're gonna be fine. No, they never once showed people warning The Miz about Shane McMahon. So I want to know where that came from. Miz talks about Shane decimating him and then put his hands on his 68-year-old father. Miz says he will never be able to forget that, which if you watched on replays, I guess, then yeah, you can see it, but you can't make it sound like you've seen him put his hands on your father right there at Fastlane, because you were pretty much beat the hell out of and knocked out. Miz says Shane is a final human being. He is a McMahon, by the way, rotten to the core, just like his own father. Miz says Shane wasn't born the best in the world. He was born the worst because he is a McMahon. Yes, all McMahons are the absolute worst in the world, plain and simple. They're up there with all the other ones, the Bushes and everyone else in the world. Miz says Shane and Vince think they can do what they want as a billionaire, but they can't. I'm pretty sure Vince is a billionaire. I don't think Shane's a billionaire. Just because he's Vince's son doesn't mean he's a billionaire now. They may own the company, but they don't own the Miz. They also don't own Kofi, which I don't know why he had to put a dig in to say about Kofi. Just you have Kofi in the gauntlet later in the night, so why is Miz, of all people, saying, you don't own me, you don't own Kofi? Really? Absolutely really? This is not something we needed. Of course, they get a Kofi chant going. Miz goes on about hard work and earning respect. He says he's been here for 13 years, but he likes to think that he's finally earned some respect. Fans chant, you deserve it. Now Miz says, you're damn right he does. Miz says Shane deserves an ass whooping at WrestleMania, and throws the mic down and exits the ring as his music goes off. Definitely a good promo by The Miz. Definitely. This is one of those matches that I really still do not care about. I'm tired of seeing Shane McMahon get those matches at WrestleMania. The match against The Undertaker was not necessary. His match against AJ Styles, unfortunately, was the best match of that WrestleMania. Last year, with Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, was just a way to get Daniel Bryan back into the ring. And now this year, we have him versus The Miz. Quite honestly, I don't care about this match, and I don't think I will care about this match, even if you may try and make me. That's just my feeling on that. And as soon as he leaves, out comes Bayley and Sasha Banks. They will take on the Iconics. And why this match happened is because last week the Iconics on the video board said, Bayley and Sasha Banks, you've been on Raw, you've been on NXT, but you have been ducking us on Smackdown Live. So they came to Smackdown Live as they promised. I didn't think they'd actually be wrestling a match, but they're here to compete. They were in wrestling gear, and they are here to face the Iconics. We do get the Iconics beat them in about 3 to 4 minutes. We get a commercial break. The Iconics keep tagging on Bayley. Banks finally gets the hot tag and unloads on Peyton. Banks with a close 2 count. More back and forth between the two now. Banks drops Kay on the floor, but Peyton comes from behind, counters Banks, and drops her. Kay with another assist from the floor. Bayley comes over, but Kay nails her with a big boot. Peyton takes advantage of the distraction and covers Banks for the 1-2-3 with Billie Kay holding Peyton Royce's hand so Banks would not be able to kick out. So the Iconics win and they celebrate after the match. Why, again, do champions continue to lose? I don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. There are much easier ways to get #1 contenders than having a champion lose all the time. It's absolutely ridiculous, and it gets so frustrating to see champions lose. It's kind of funny because this is Sasha Banks' longest title reign so far. Being, usually when she wins a championship, she holds it for one, and she gets one defense in, and she loses on the first defense. Luckily, apparently that only must stand for singles championships, because on the main roster she has one defense down, and she's moving on to WrestleMania with the tag team championships. So it looks like Peyton Royce and Billie Kay will going to WrestleMania to be added to this match to make it a fatal 4-way. I expect that to be announced on Monday, Tuesday, or between now and next week. Kayla Braxton is backstage with Rey Mysterio. Braxton says Rey has some exciting news for his WrestleMania 35 plans. Rey Mysterio introduces Dominic, who hasn't been seen on WWE television since he was a child. Hasn't been seen on television since Rey Mysterio feuded with CM Punk like 6, 7, 8 years ago. Dominic got really tall. He's taller than his father. He's all grown up, and he's going to be following in his father's footsteps. He says he can't wait to share this announcement because since pinning Samoa Joe, At WrestleMania, it will be Samoa Joe versus Rey Mysterio, one-on-one. Dominic is asked what he thinks about his father going to WrestleMania. He says he will be front row. Ray's son says Joe is just a bully and he will be sitting front row at WrestleMania to watch his dad take care of bullies and bring home another championship. Why did you have to bring Dominic into... This will be the third storyline in his life that Dominic is a part of. Now, of course, Dominic was a side character to the last time, which was CM Punk versus Rey Mysterio, because it was more aimed at his sister than Dominic. This is the third time in his life that Dominic has been part of a storyline for Rey Mysterio. Of course, we remember what happened in 2005 before Eddie's death. Going into WrestleMania, it was the battle of the illegitimate father versus the legitimate father of Rey Mysterio versus that wasn't WrestleMania, SummerSlam. Going into SummerSlam, it was Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero for the case of Dominic, and that's what we got. And now we have him going up against Samoa Joe, and you know Samoa Joe's gonna throw some shade at him. You know he is. You know it's gonna happen. You know this is not the last time we're going to see Dominic on TV for the next 2 weeks. Why they had to bring Dominic in again, I don't know. This is gonna be like AJ Styles' daughter, only this time it's Dominic, who is actually old enough to be able to take out Samoa Joe if he wants to. And yes, he is trained by Rey Mysterio and I believe Lance Storm. We get the KO show, and it just leads to more than the same. Becky Flair says she would beat the holy hell out of Becky. Owens goes to the apron before Becky answers. Becky responds with a shot to Flair. Flair comes across the desk and decks Becky back in the brawl, and as the brawl kicks off. They go from the ring to the floor as referees try to break them up. Fans can't let them fight. Security and them trying to break it up, and they fight here and there. Again, we don't need to see these two until WrestleMania. No more. Unless they're doing a contract signing between these three, which I don't think they're going to. We don't need to see this anymore. Kayla Braxton is backstage with AJ Styles. She asks if he wants to take what it's going to take to beat Randy Orton. AJ puts Orton over and says he is great, which is why he's been a multi-time champion in WWE. AJ goes on and says at WrestleMania 35, and Orton will be standing across from someone who doesn't have all the advantages Orton has from WWE. AJ says he's not coming to WrestleMania to build, he's coming to tear the house down because he is the phenomenal one. AJ walks off and comes back with Kofi and wishes Kofi Kingston good luck in the main event. And now it's time for said main event because it is a gauntlet match, and this of course took up majority of the show. I honestly thought they were going to start the show off, but of course they were going to end the show with this. Kofi Kingston versus Cesaro versus Sheamus versus Randy Orton versus Rowan versus Samoa Joe. Kofi hits the ring and poses the fans chant his name. Before that, we did have Bryan out in the ring. He says Kofi being in tonight's gauntlet match is an injustice because he doesn't deserve the opportunity. He goes on about Kofi being picked and how he has recently lost. Bryan says Kofi's earned nothing because unlike Kofi, Bryan is nothing more than a B-plus player. Unlike Bryan, Kofi's nothing but a B-plus player. Bryan says that's okay for the fans because B-plus is enough for them. Bryan says B-plus is not good enough, and no matter how they chant for Kofi, and fans start doing that, Bryan says no matter how much they chant for Kofi, it won't change the fact that he lost in the Gauntlet match and Elimination Chamber. And at Fastlane, the music interrupts, and out comes New Day. Kofi Kingston, Big E, and Xavier Woods. Kofi rushes the ring as Bryan and Rowan exit. It's time for the main event. Kofi starts off the match against Sheamus. As I book this, and fantasy book this, the first three people should be Sheamus, Cesaro, and Eric Rowan. Sheamus takes it to the corner and backs off as Cesaro looks on from the outside. Kofi and Sheamus tangle for a few minutes as we see Big E and Xavier watching from backstage as they have been banned from ringside, rightfully so. Fans of course chant that you look stupid at Sheamus. He takes control of Kofi. Kofi fights up for a mat and takes Sheamus' knee out. Fans chant for Kofi as he comes, and we get a 2 count as Kofi gets a takedown. Sheamus whips Kofi into the corner, but Kofi arm drags him across the ring. Kofi grounds Sheamus for a 2 count. Sheamus charges, but Kofi dumps him over the top floor. Kofi runs the ropes and leaps out, taking Sheamus back down to the floor. Fans chant for Kofi. They come back to the ring, but Sheamus drops Kofi with a knee to the face. Sheamus unloads with the forearms to the chest. Cesaro laughs in Kofi's face as the referee warns him. Kofi counters and drops Sheamus with a kick. This one comes down for these two as back. Let me see here. Yeah. Kofi. Sheamus readies for a bro kick while Kofi is down. Kofi blocks it and rolls him up for a close 2 and then nails a Trouble in Paradise for the 1, 2, 3. And Sheamus is eliminated. Not a problem with this one. Sheamus was, of course, just going to be fodder for the gauntlet match. Not a problem here. Then we see the Hardys and everyone else watching backstage as everyone is invested to see Kofi Kingston win the gauntlet match and make it to WrestleMania. Everyone's all behind Kofi. Again, I ask, where would everybody be if this is Mustafa Ali? And Mustafa Ali did not get injured, and Mustafa Ali was still, did not get injured, and he was in the same position as Kofi Kingston. Would everyone be behind Mustafa Ali? That's my question. I still have that question to this day. This one doesn't last as long. Back from break and Kofi continues. Cesaro continues. He goes to control Kofi as the viewing party in the back continues. Kofi fights out, but Cesaro drops him and does the Cesaro swing. Cesaro applies the cloverleaf submission in the middle of the ring. Kofi ends up avoiding a neutralizer and hits the SOS for the 1, 2, 3. And Cesaro has been eliminated. Again, not a problem. I expected Cesaro to be one of the first 3 guys and get eliminated like that. Out comes Rowan. This one did not last at all. Rowan goes right to work on Kofi with a big power move. Rowan with a big running splash in the corner. Rowan sends Kofi out to the floor and levels him with a clothesline. Rowan keeps control on the outside, launches Kofi into the barrier, grabs a steel chair, smacks Kofi over the back with it, and the ref calls for the bell, and Rowan has been disqualified. Again, not a problem, but the problem comes in after this. Rowan grabs Kofi and ragdolls him at ringside. Rowan rams Kofi back in the steel chair at ring post. He beats the holy heck out of Kofi Kingston. Rowan grabs Kofi, puts him through an announce table with the iron claw, and walks away as Kofi rolls around in pain. And out comes Samoa Joe. This should have been the end of Kofi Kingston, but as we know, WWE with their illogical booking. This one just, this next one just, I don't even know. Kofi just got beat down by Eric Rowan. Kofi just got beat down by Eric Rowan and got ragdoll, put through the ring, through an announce table with the iron claw. So can you tell me why he's beating both Samoa Joe and Randy Orton? Joe comes from behind, applies the Kikina clutch to Kofi. Kofi starts fading in the hold and goes to sleep. Officials are out to back Joe off. Fans start booing Joe as he makes his exit after he gets eliminated because, as you know, Kofi wins with a backslide. Again, he just beat Samoa Joe. He just got put in the Kikina clutch like he did at the last gauntlet match. He should be out, and Randy Orton should have no problem picking up the win, right? No. Back from break, and Orton is in control of Kofi on the outside in the ring. Orton starts talking trash to the fans from Kofi while working him over. Kofi counters an attempt to send Orton to the steel ring steps instead. Fans go crazy for Kofi. They bring it back into the ring, and Orton beats Kofi down in the corner. Orton starts stomping on Kofi now. Orton covers for a 2 count. Orton shuts Kofi down again and keeps him grounded in the middle of the ring. Kofi fights up and out, but Orton stops in a drop kick attempt. Orton goes back to the work on Kofi while he's down. Kofi gets up again and blocks the RKO, then delivers a Trouble in Paradise. Kofi slowly crawls in for the pin, but Orton avoids it by rolling out of the ring, and we go back to commercial break. Back from break, and Kofi fights Orton off on the top rope. Kofi sends Orton to the mat and goes for the crossbody, but Orton catches him and covers him for a 2 count. Orton with a second rope draping DDT. Orton plays up the crowd and hits the mat to stop Kofi. Kofi blocks another RKO attempt and rolls Orton up for the 1, 2, 3. And Kofi wins. So after the beating he took from Eric Rowan and the Kikina clutch he took from Samoa Joe and the beating he took from Randy Orton, you unbelievably make me believe that Kofi Kingston should make it to WrestleMania. But Vince comes out, wants to say to everyone around the world is thinking, congratulations to Kofi. Vince says what Kofi has accomplished is nothing short of miraculous. Quite unbelievable, actually. And he's going to WrestleMania. Kofi is going as long as he can defeat this one last superstar. Vince orders Woods and E to the back, or Kofi will forfeit his opportunity. And from the bottom of his heart, Vince wishes good luck to Kofi. and out comes Daniel Bryan. And he knew right away Kofi wasn't making it to WrestleMania. But Kofi Kingston's pretty much dead by now. Bryan goes to hit the corner, drop kicks. Kofi turns the third into a roll up for a 2 count. Kofi goes to the top and lands hard as Bryan moves. Bryan with shots to the face while Kofi is down. Bryan delivers the running knee. As Kofi slowly gets up, Bryan covers for the pin in the win, and Kofi is not going to WrestleMania right now. After the bell, Big E and Woods hit the ring. We check on Kofi as Bryan makes his way. Bryan raises the WWE title off the ramp as Smackdown goes off the air. Again, Vince McMahon just fails. Fails as he always does. Why even have the gauntlet match? Go like it did, just to have Daniel Bryan beat Kofi Kingston. I want to know this. This makes absolutely no sense. This match, you should not have had Randy Orton lose. You should not have had Samoa Joe lose. You had Eric Rowan beat the living piss out of Kofi Kingston, and what happened? Samoa Joe goes out there and gets pinned. Randy Orton, like Samoa Joe, knocks him out, takes him out with the cookie in a clutch. And Randy Orton goes out there and gets rolled up in the most unbelievable way possible and gets pinned. All for Daniel Bryan to come out running knee 1, 2, 3. Are you kidding me? Oh, buddy, this was terrible. Bad finish. Bad first half of the show. This was a step down from last week, bar none. Last week's show was a damn good show, and this week was just awful. Not a good showing for SmackDown Live. Period. Not a good showing at all. So, now what do? We'll have to wait. They did post a video on their YouTube page after the show of Big E and Xavier trying to convince Kofi Kingston that they should just quit WWE. Kofi's like, no, we're not going to do that, because if we do that, then Vince wins, Daniel Bryan wins, and they're going to leave. They left, and they're going to go plan what their next move is. I don't know what we do next week, and I don't know what we do the week after that. It has been announced also that Asuka will have a fatal 4-way between Carmella and Naomi, Sonya Deville, and Mandy Rose. The winner will face Asuka at WrestleMania. And honestly, none of them deserve to go to WrestleMania to face Asuka. I said it before, I'll say it again. Nikki Cross should be going to WrestleMania to face Asuka. Is the only one that would actually make it a worthwhile match. Again, it sucks for Asuka that Bayley and Sasha Banks are on Raw and they're tag team champions, and the fact that Becky Lynch and Charlotte are on SmackDown and are going to go for the Raw Women's Championship because she has no competition. I'm just glad the whole talk of Lacey Evans getting the SmackDown Live Women's Championship match at WrestleMania is not happening. Anybody who says that match should have happened, you are out of your mind. Definitely not a good show last night. Definitely not something that I'm glad I didn't get to see live, because I would have been sitting here disappointing and probably talking a lot more worse than I am right now. NXT is tonight, and we find out the fate of the NXT Championship going into NXT TakeOver. Who will face Johnny Gargano? Because quite honestly, it's Johnny Gargano versus whatever they decide to do. In 4-man tournament, 4 guys, who knows? We'll have more of that tomorrow. Will we be disappointed? Probably. Last time they had a easy out because it was supposed to be a triple threat turned into a singles match with just having to figure out how you're going to invite this guy off. This time, you really don't have that. You don't have that luxury. So, we'll see what happens tonight. I'll talk to you about it tomorrow. And then, of course, Unscripted will be on Saturday. We have a good bit to go over for to come. But hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at TheFrauds. Find me on twitch.tv/TheFrauds08. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for NXT. So then, my name is TheFrauds, and I am out of here.